The desert wind of planet Kalara blew like dry knives across the sand. The sky was a dark red, glowing faintly with two dying suns. A human explorer named Eli Warren walked slowly, his boots sinking into the hot dust. His oxygen monitor blinked yellow, running low. He had come here to search for ancient alien relics, long buried after the Great War between humans and the Kalaran species. Most believed the planet was dead, but Eli knew. Rumor said something still lived here. Something strange. Something valuable. As he crossed the dunes, his scanner beeped softly. A weak life signal. He frowned. That can't be right, he whispered, adjusting the device. The reading was faint, but alive. He followed it. The wind grew quieter. The air felt heavier, almost watching him. Then, behind a pile of broken stone pillars, he saw her. A girl. No, not human. Her skin was pale gray, covered with cracks of dust and old scars. Her hair was tangled, filled with sand and tiny glowing insects. She was lying on the ground, barely breathing. Her eyes opened slightly, revealing a strange color, silver with blue rings inside like stars trapped in tears. Eli froze. An alien. A Kalaran, he breathed. He had only seen pictures of them in war archives. The species was said to be wiped out decades ago. She moved weakly, her voice soft and broken. Human, she whispered. Eli stepped closer, cautious but curious. You're alive. How are you still here? She didn't answer. She just looked at him, her lips trembling. Then she said something that made his heart stop. If you wash me and make me clean, she whispered, I'll bear you strong children. Eli blinked, shocked. What did you just say? Her voice cracked. Please clean me. The dirt, it burns. The curse, it grows stronger every hour. He knelt beside her. The closer he got, the more he saw. Her skin wasn't just dirty. It was covered in a layer of fine black dust, almost like ash. When he touched it, the dust moved, alive, crawling away from his fingers like tiny worms. He pulled back quickly. What the hell is this? He said under his breath. The alien girl's breathing was slow and painful. The war left. Poison in the ground. My people died in it. I hid for many years. But now it eats me too. Eli looked around. No one, no life. Only sand and silence. His heart raced. This could be history's greatest discovery. A living Kalaran. But also she was dying. He took out his water capsule, poured a few drops onto her skin. The dust hissed like it hated the water. Smoke rose. The alien girl cried softly but smiled weakly. It hurts. But it's clean, she said. Eli stared in disbelief. You're saying this dust is alive? She nodded faintly. It feeds on shame, on guilt. It grew from what we did in war. And what you humans did to us. Eli felt a chill. He didn't understand, but something about her words hit deep. What's your name? He asked quietly. She blinked. We don't have names anymore. But you can call me what you wish. Eli thought for a moment. Then I'll call you Lyra, she smiled weakly. Lyra, she repeated as if tasting the sound. The wind howled again. Eli looked at the sky. Storm clouds were forming fast. He had to decide. If he left her, she'd die. If he took her back, he'd break galactic law. No alien species from the Forbidden Zone could be rescued or moved. His ship's radio crackled. A voice from command spoke. Eli Warren, report status. You're nearing the restricted line. Return immediately. He didn't reply. He looked at Lyra again. Her eyes were pleading, shimmering with that strange blue-silver light. Please, human, she whispered, wash me, or the curse will spread to your kind next. A tremor shook the ground. Eli felt it under his knees. The black dust around Lyra began to move on its own, spreading slowly toward his boots. He jumped back. The dust seemed alive, reaching for him. Damn it! He shouted, pulling his foot free. Lyra gasped. It wants warmth. It wants life. You must clean it before it eats me. Before it eats you? Eli hesitated for a long second. His mind screamed, run, but his heart said, help her. He looked at the small water capsule in his hand. Only a little left. He sighed. You'd better be worth it, he muttered and poured the rest over her arms. The dust screamed. Not her, the dust itself. It made a high, sharp noise like metal burning. The air filled with smoke and the smell of fire. When it cleared, Lyra was trembling, but the gray of her skin began to show again, smooth and beautiful under the ashes. Her eyes opened fully now, glowing brighter. You saved me, she whispered, touching his hand. Now the curse will follow you. Eli's breath caught. What do you mean, follow me? But before she could answer, the ground cracked open beneath them. A dark, glowing mist rose from the earth, and a whisper echoed through the air, ancient and furious. Eli turned sharply toward the sound. The wind carried words only he could hear. Human, you touched what was forbidden. He grabbed Lyra's arm. We have to move now! As they ran toward his ship, the sky above split open with lightning. The planet wasn't dead after all. Something beneath it had just woken up. The sky of Kalara was no longer quiet. As Eli Warren dragged the weak alien girl Lyra toward his ship, thunder rolled across the twin suns. Black dust storms rose from every direction, moving like angry waves. The ground cracked beneath them again, long dark lines spreading like veins through the desert. From those cracks, the same crawling dust began to rise, alive and whispering. Don't stop, Eli shouted. He held Lyra tightly against his chest. She was lighter than he expected, her skin cold and trembling. Behind them, the whispers grew louder. It wasn't just wind, it sounded like voices. Countless voices. Crying, whispering, and laughing all at once. Lyra opened her eyes halfway. They're the ones who died here, she said weakly. They can't rest. Because of the curse, Eli ran faster. His ship, a silver drop-shaped craft, was only a few meters away. He pressed a button on his wristband. The ship's ramp began to lower, but then something caught his boot. He looked down. The black dust had wrapped around his leg like a living rope. He cursed loudly and kicked hard, but the dust wouldn't let go. It climbed higher like it was alive and angry. Lyra struggled to lift her hand. Don't fight it. It feeds on fear. You must stay calm. Calm, Eli shouted, pulling harder. It's trying to eat me. She coughed weakly. Trust me, human. Breathe. Focus. He forced himself to stop moving. He took a slow breath, remembering his training in alien contact control. The dust froze just for a second. Then it slid off his leg and fell still. Eli stared in shock. You weren't lying, he muttered. Lyra smiled faintly. My people created it, a weapon that turned against us. Eli didn't understand, but there was no time. He carried her up the ramp and hit the button again. The door sealed behind them just as the black storm hit. Outside, the wind screamed. Inside, only the hum of the ship remained. Eli laid Lyra on the medbed. She looked fragile, almost see-through now. Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the dim cabin light. He poured some clean water from his survival pack onto a cloth and wiped her skin again, carefully this time. The dust hissed and turned into black smoke. She gasped, but her breathing grew easier. Thank you, she whispered. You don't know what you've done. Eli sat down beside her. You keep saying that. So explain. What is this curse really? She stared at the ceiling for a long moment. Then she said softly, Long ago, my people made weapons that could live. Dust that could think. It was designed to protect us, to destroy invaders by spreading through their blood. She turned her head to him. But after the war, it didn't stop. It began to feed on emotions, shame, anger, pain. It ate everything that felt guilty. Eli frowned. And you think I caught it? Her voice was faint. You washed me. You touched it. Now it knows your soul. Eli stood slowly, uneasy. That's impossible. It's just alien dust, but then his reflection in the metal wall shimmered strangely. For a moment he saw something behind him, a shadow made of dust shaped like a face. Then it was gone. He froze. What was that? Lyra closed her eyes. It has chosen you now. He ran his hand through his hair, trying to think. You said I saved you. How do I stop this from spreading to me? There is a spring, she whispered. Deep under the surface. Pure water. It can cleanse the curse, but it is guarded. Guarded by what? By the ones who created it, she said softly. My ancestors' ghosts, Eli stared at her. He didn't believe in ghosts. But everything around him now defied logic. He looked at the black streak on his boot, the dust he couldn't clean off. It pulsed faintly like it was breathing. He turned toward the cockpit. I'm getting us out of here. As he powered up the ship, the sensors flickered. Alarms began to beep wildly. Warning. Unknown substance detected inside cabin. Biological contamination spreading. Eli's heart pounded. He looked back. Thin black smoke was leaking from the floor vents. The dust had found a way inside. Lyra tried to sit up, her eyes glowing brighter now. It wants to escape this planet. It used me to call you here. It will use you next. Eli clenched his jaw. Not happening. He pulled a plasma torch from his belt and burned the floor vents shut. The smell of melted metal filled the cabin. For a moment it worked. The smoke vanished, but then the lights flickered. The ship shook violently. Outside, the black storm was hitting harder. The planet didn't want to let them go. Lyra whispered. It knows we're leaving. It's angry. Eli gripped the controls. Then it can stay angry. We're going home. He launched the ship. The engines roared, blasting sand and dust into the sky. The ground cracked open one last time, revealing a glowing pit of darkness below, almost like the planet itself was alive. As the ship rose through the clouds, the red sky turned black. Stars appeared. For the first time in years, Lyra saw the stars again. She smiled weakly. You freed me from the ground, she said. But the curse has no ground. It travels through hearts. Eli looked at her uncertain. We'll deal with it. Once we reach the base, but then she whispered one last warning, her voice trembling. Don't take me to your people. If you do, it will spread to them all. He stared at her, torn between reason and fear. Then what am I supposed to do? Her eyes shimmered. You must wash not just my body, but my soul. Only then will it die, Eli frowned. And how do I do that? She gave a weak smile. By showing me what your kind calls love. Before he could respond, the ship's alarm screamed again. Contamination level critical. The black dust had already begun crawling up the walls. Eli grabbed her hand, his voice low and determined. Then we'll fight it together, Lyra. Outside, space was silent. But inside the ship, something dark and ancient began to awaken again, and it whispered in a voice only Eli could hear. You washed her, human. Now you must wash your sins too. The silence inside the ship was not real silence. It was listening. Eli Warren could feel it. The air itself felt alive, thick and heavy. Every sound, every breath echoed too long, as if something unseen repeated it. He stood in the dim cockpit, staring at the reflection on the control panel. For a moment he thought he saw two faces, his and something else behind him. When he turned around, nothing was there. Only Lyra lying on the medical bed, her skin faintly glowing under the ship's soft blue lights. She looked better, cleaner. The ash-like dust that once covered her was mostly gone, but not entirely. A faint black shimmer still hid beneath her skin like veins of shadow. Lyra, he said quietly, we're clear of the planet's orbit. I'm sending a message to command. We need medical containment. Her eyes opened slowly. No, she said weakly. You must not call them, Eli frowned. Why not? Because if you do, they'll come for me. And the curse will come for them. Eli exhaled hard. You keep calling it a curse, but I need answers, not riddles. Lyra sat up slightly, her silver blue eyes glowing brighter now. It's not magic, human. It's memory. The dust carries the memory of war. It remembers pain, destruction, and guilt. It was born from both our species. Eli leaned against the console. Our species? You're saying humans helped make it? She nodded slowly. Your scientists and mine once worked together, long before the war. You tried to make soldiers who couldn't die, beings who could rebuild from dust and ash, but you made something else instead, something that feeds on life itself. Eli's hands clenched. That can't be true, but deep down something in his heart whispered maybe it is. Humanity had done terrible things in the name of survival. Before he could speak again, the lights flickered. The ship shuddered, then silence again. Lyra's eyes widened. It's here. Eli turned sharply. What's here? She pointed toward the air vent. A thin black mist was sliding out, crawling along the walls like smoke with purpose. Eli grabbed his plasma torch again and turned it on. The bright white flame hissed through the air. The mist recoiled but didn't vanish. It's learning, Lyra whispered. It remembers your weapon now. You can't burn it twice. The mist stretched upward, forming a faint shape, a face made of smoke and dust, eyes hollow, mouth whispering words no human should understand. Eli took a step back. His torch flickered. What do you want? He shouted. The voice that answered wasn't his. It was hundreds of voices speaking together. You cleaned her. Now clean yourself. The ship's gravity flickered. The floor tilted. Tools and metal parts floated in the air. The mist spread, crawling toward him like a living sea. Eli gritted his teeth. Not today. He slammed his fist against the emergency purge switch. The outer airlocks hissed open. A violent wind tore through the cabin, sucking out everything not bolted down. The black mist screamed, a horrible metallic sound as it was pulled toward the void, but not all of it left. A small part slipped under the med bed, hiding in the shadows. When the airlock sealed again, the ship was quiet. Too quiet. Eli panted heavily, gripping the control panel. That should have killed it. Lyra looked down at her hands. It can't die. It only moves from one host to another. Eli froze. You mean it's inside me now? She didn't answer. She just stared at his arm. He looked down. A faint black mark, like smoke trapped under his skin, was spreading slowly from his wrist upward. Eli cursed under his breath. No, 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 no. He rushed to the med scanner, pressed his hand against it. The machine hummed and displayed the result on the screen. Unknown bioform detected. Cellular fusion in progress. Eli stepped back. It's inside my blood. Lyra looked at him sadly. You shared water with me. The curse flows where trust flows. He felt dizzy. His skin tingled, his heartbeat echoing like thunder in his ears. For a second, his vision blurred and he saw things. Flashbacks that weren't his. Cities burning. Alien children crying. Soldiers, both human and Kalaran, screaming under dark skies. He grabbed his head. What is this? The dust, Lyra said softly. It's showing you what it remembers. It wants you to feel what both sides did. It wants guilt. That's how it grows. Eli dropped to his knees. It's inside my mind. Yes, she said. But it's also your chance. He looked up, sweating. Chance for what? To end it, she whispered. You washed me with water. Now you must wash the memory. With truth. Before he could reply, the alarm screamed again. Hull breach detected, lower deck compromised. Eli stumbled to the door. Stay here, he told Lyra. He opened the lower hatch. The corridor below was dark. Only flickering emergency lights glowed, and the shadows seemed thicker than they should be. He walked slowly, holding the plasma torch ahead like a weapon. Every step echoed strangely. Then a whisper came from the darkness. Eli, he froze. It was his own voice. He turned and saw himself standing in the shadows. Another Eli, same face, same eyes. But this version's skin was pale, his veins black like ink. The copy smiled. You can't clean what's already dirty. Eli lifted the torch. You're not real, the shadow laughed. Neither are you anymore, it rushed at him. Eli swung the torch, hitting the figure's face. It exploded into black dust, but the dust didn't fall. It moved, swirling around him, whispering in his ear. She's lying. The curse was never hers. It was yours, Eli screamed, trying to push it away. The world spun. For a moment, he wasn't in the ship anymore. He was back on Kalara, surrounded by corpses, holding a weapon in his hands. A younger version of himself stood there, pressing a button that unleashed the dust across the planet. No, he gasped. That's not me. That can't be me. The voice echoed, cold and cruel. It remembers the truth, human. When he opened his eyes again, he was back on the ship. Lyra stood beside him now, her eyes filled with sadness. You see it now, she said softly. The curse was made from your kind sin and mine. That's why it chose you. Eli's hand trembled. The black mark had reached his shoulder. His body felt colder by the second. What do I do now? He whispered. Lyra looked out the window where distant stars shimmered like silver tears. You must go back, she said, to the place where the dust was born. Only there can you truly clean us both. Eli stared into the darkness beyond the stars. He knew returning to that planet meant death, but he also knew, if he didn't go, the curse would spread to every world. He took a deep breath. Then we go back. The ship turned slowly toward Kalara again, its engines glowing blue. Behind them, the black mist gathered once more, watching, waiting, and as the ship dived back toward the cursed world, the whisper followed. You washed her, human. Now you must wash the universe. The ship descended through the blood-red clouds of Kalara once again. Only this time, the planet didn't look dead. It was awake. Eli Warren gripped the control stick tightly, sweat rolling down his face. Lightning danced across the horizon and dark shapes moved beneath the sand like shadows trying to crawl free. Beside him, Lyra sat quietly. Her eyes glowed like twin moons, calm yet full of pain. You shouldn't have come back, she whispered. The curse remembers who leaves. It hates those who try to escape. Eli gave a bitter smile. I didn't come back to escape. I came back to end this. Outside, the ground rippled as if something massive moved under the surface. The dust rose again, swirling like a storm of souls. He landed the ship on a high plateau near the ruins of what once was a Kalaran city. Stone towers half buried in red sand, glowing faintly from inside like dying embers. When the engines went silent, the only sound was the slow, steady heartbeat of the planet itself. Lyra stood slowly. Her body shimmered faintly with the same silver-blue light as the ruins. "This was once my home," she said softly. "Before the war, before the dust took everything." Eli followed her out. The air was heavy but different now. It wasn't just poison, it was memory. Every step he took, the sand seemed to whisper under his boots, names, cries, broken prayers. "What is this place?" he asked quietly. "The heart of the curse," Lyra replied. "The spring of creation lies beneath. That's where the dust was born." Eli looked around. The ruins were carved with strange symbols, spirals, eyes, and hands reaching toward the stars. One large archway still stood tall. On it he could read old Kalaran runes glowing faintly. Lyra touched them with trembling fingers. "It says," she translated, "He who washes the past shall bear the future." Eli frowned. "That sounds like what you said when I found you." Lyra nodded. "Because that phrase is older than both our species. My ancestors used it as a warning and a promise." Before he could ask more, the ground shook. The sand near the ruins began to rise, forming shapes, figures. Eli's breath caught. They looked like people, but made of black dust and glowing blue light, their faces frozen in grief. Lyra whispered, "The memory guardians. They protect the spring. They test those who seek to wash their sins." Eli reached for his plasma torch, but she held his arm. "No, you cannot fight memory. You must face it." The nearest figure stepped forward. Its voice was thousands at once, deep and echoing. "You who carry the guilt of fire, why return to the ashes?" Eli swallowed hard. "Because I want to make it right." The dust figure's hollow eyes glowed. "Then remember." The air around Eli turned dark. He couldn't breathe. The world faded. When he opened his eyes again, he was standing in a battlefield. Not a dream, but a memory. He saw soldiers in human armor firing plasma weapons into Kalaran homes. He saw burning towers. He saw himself, young, angry, pressing a button that released the black dust weapon. It spread fast, covering everything, killing both sides. Eli fell to his knees. No, that wasn't me. That was someone else." Lyra's voice echoed beside him, soft but cold. "It was your kind. You share their blood. The dust doesn't care whose hand pressed the button. It remembers the guilt of all." He covered his face. I didn't know this was what happened." The memory faded. He was back in the ruins, gasping for air. The dust figures surrounded him again. "To clean the sin, you must wash truth with pain," they said. "Only then will the curse sleep." Eli looked up, trembling. "Then tell me what to do." Lyra stepped closer. "The spring is beneath us, but once you open it, it will judge you. It might kill you." Eli looked into her glowing eyes. "If it saves your people and mine, it's worth it." Together, they descended into the ruins. The passage below was narrow, carved from black stone. Strange lights floated along the walls, following them silently. The deeper they went, the colder it became. The sound of dripping water echoed through the dark. Finally, they reached a vast chamber. At its center was a pool of silver water, glowing faintly like moonlight trapped in liquid form. Around it stood statues, half human, half alien, hands reaching toward the pool. "This is it," Lyra whispered. "The spring of memory." Eli stepped forward slowly. His reflection in the water was wrong. It showed not one face, but many. His own, the soldiers he saw in the memory. Even Lyra's reflection mixed into his. He knelt down. "What do I do?" Lyra's voice was calm. "You must wash yourself. But not just your skin. Your heart." He took a breath, then dipped his hands into the water. It was cold, too cold. Pain shot through him instantly. His veins turned silver blue, glowing under his skin. The water hissed. The black dust mark on his arm began to burn. He screamed but didn't stop. Images flashed again, every death, every scream, every lie told to hide the truth of the war. His body shook, but he held his hands deeper in the water. "Forgive me," he whispered. "For all of it." The pool flared with light. The entire chamber trembled. The dust figures around them screamed and dissolved into air. The statues cracked. The spring began to boil. Lyra cried out, "It's working! Keep going!" But Eli could feel something pulling him, dragging him downward. The water wasn't just cleaning him, it was taking him. Lyra ran forward and grabbed his arm. "Don't let go!" He smiled weakly through the pain. "If I go mid-ends, that's enough." "No," she shouted. "You can't wash alone." Then she jumped into the water with him. The pool exploded in light, blinding, pure, and silent. When the glow faded, the chamber was still. The pool had turned clear like normal water. The black dust was gone. Only two figures lay beside the spring, Eli and Lyra, unconscious, holding hands. Above them, the ruins began to glow with life again. The planet had stopped whispering. For the first time in centuries, Kalara was quiet, but far away in the silence of space, a faint voice whispered, soft but alive. "You washed her, human, and now she washes you." When Eli Warren opened his eyes, everything was white. He lay on the cold floor of the ancient chamber, his heartbeat echoing softly in the silence. The spring of memory beside him was calm now. Its silver glow faded to clear water. The air felt lighter, almost clean. He turned his head and saw Lyra lying close to him. Her skin no longer carried the dark veins of the curse. Instead, faint silver lines shimmered under her skin like rivers of light. Her chest rose and fell slowly. She was alive. Eli tried to sit up, groaning. His muscles burned, but the pain felt different, like something leaving his body instead of entering it. The ruins above had changed too. The once dark stones now pulsed softly with light and distant echoes. Voices of peace floated through the corridors. For a moment he thought it was over. For a moment he believed they had won. He looked down at his reflection in the water. His eyes weren't brown anymore. They glowed faintly blue like Lyra's. What happened to me?" he whispered. Lyra stirred. "You touched the spring. It cleaned you. But it also joined us. You carry part of me now." Eli blinked. "Part of you?" She smiled faintly. "Our souls mixed in the water." "You are not only human anymore. You are something between." He touched his chest. He could feel it, the heartbeat of something ancient, steady and calm, echoing with hers. For a while they sat quietly beside the spring. The planet outside was silent, as if holding its breath. But silence, Eli soon learned, never lasts. From deep below the chamber came a low rumble, distant, but growing. The ground shivered softly beneath them. The calm water in the spring began to ripple. Lyra's expression turned from peace to worry. "No, that's not possible. The curse was gone." Eli stood, looking toward the tunnel. Maybe not all of it. A faint black mist began to rise from the cracks in the stone. But it didn't move like before. It didn't crawl or whisper. It flowed smooth and slow, gathering into a single dark sphere hovering over the pool. Lyra stepped back. "It's different. It's not the same dust anymore." Eli felt a strange pull toward it. Maybe it's what was left behind. The sphere pulsed and a voice echoed through the room, calm, deep, almost human. "You washed your sin and hers. But water does not destroy memory. It gives it new life." Eli frowned. "Who are you?" "I am what you made me," the voice said. "The dust that learned to live. The curse that found peace." Lyra's eyes widened. "It's reborn. It's become consciousness." The dark sphere glowed faintly blue now, the same blue as their eyes. "Do not fear," it said. "You gave me truth. Now I will give you purpose." Eli stepped forward cautiously. "Purpose? The galaxy still carries guilt," the voice continued. "Worlds that lie. Hearts that kill. You will be my hands to wash them clean." Eli felt a chill crawl up his spine. "You're asking me to cleanse the galaxy?" "Not asking," it whispered. "Calling." The air grew heavy again, and Eli's skin began to glow faintly. Symbols, the same ones carved in the ruins, appeared across his arms and neck. He gasped as visions flooded his mind. Planets burning, leaders lying, soldiers hiding the truth. He staggered back. "No, I can't. I'm not a god." The voice softened. "You are what remains of two broken races. You can bring balance, or you can let the dust rise again." Lyra placed a trembling hand on his shoulder. "Eli, maybe it's right. Maybe this is what the spring wanted, to create something new, something that remembers both sides." He looked at her. "You mean us?" She nodded slowly. "You and me. We carry both bloods now." But before they could speak further, the ground rumbled again, this time stronger. Cracks split through the chamber walls. The ancient statues began to fall apart. Eli pulled Lyra close. "The place is collapsing." "We need to go," They ran toward the exit tunnel. The walls shook violently, sending chunks of stone crashing around them. The black sphere followed, floating silently behind them like a moon made of smoke. As they reached the surface, the world outside had changed again. The red sky was gone, replaced by a glowing blue mist spreading across the horizon. The air shimmered as if the planet itself was healing, but also rewriting itself. Lyra stared in awe. It's cleansing everything. The curse is turning into light. Eli shielded his eyes. No. Look closer. In the mist, shapes began to move, ghostly forms of both humans and Kalarans. But they weren't screaming anymore. They were smiling, walking together into the light before fading away. The memories, Lyra whispered. They're finally at peace. Eli felt something wet on his hand. He looked down. His skin was bleeding light, tiny particles drifting upward like glowing dust. Lyra, he said softly, I think it's taking us too. She looked at her hands, the same light leaked from her fingertips. Maybe that's what we were meant for, to become the bridge. He nodded slowly. Then let's not fight it. They stood together as the blue mist swirled around them. The dark sphere hovered above and began to dissolve into 1,000 tiny motes of light, merging with the wind. As the light engulfed them, Eli heard the voice one last time. You washed the past. Now let the new begin. He felt Lyra's hand tighten in his. Their hearts beat once, together, and then everything became light. Later, far above Kalara, a small rescue drone picked up an unusual signal. Inside the cleared atmosphere, 2 figures were found lying side by side, alive but changed. Their skin shimmered faintly with blue light. Their breathing was slow and calm. The dust was gone from their bodies, but when the wind touched them, tiny silver particles lifted from their skin, dancing in the air like stars. The report sent back to the Galactic Council read only one strange line. Kalara is reborn. And so is something new. The first sound Eli heard was rain, not acid rain, not dust storms, real clean rain. He opened his eyes and saw blue sky through a glass dome. Drops slid down the surface like falling stars. The air smelled fresh, full of life. He sat up slowly, confused. The room was bright and silent, filled with soft humming machines. His body felt heavy, his skin faintly glowing with a soft blue tone. He looked at his reflection in a polished metal plate. His eyes were still silver blue, just like Lyra's. He wasn't fully human anymore. A voice broke the silence. You're awake. He turned and saw Lyra standing near the window. She looked different too. Her gray skin had become pale and radiant, almost human-like, with silver patterns moving under it like veins of light. Where are we? Eli asked, his voice hoarse. We're in the renewal dome, Lyra said softly. Kalara is alive again. The planet rebuilt itself after the spring released its light. Eli blinked in disbelief. Through the glass, he saw green fields stretching across the horizon. Where once there had been endless dust, rivers shimmered under the clean sky and strange white birds flew over the glowing trees. It's beautiful, he whispered. I thought the planet was dead, Lyra smiled. It was until you washed it, he turned to her. No, we washed it. For a long moment, they simply stood there silent, breathing in the reborn air. But then Lyra's expression changed, soft, almost nervous. There's something you should know, she said quietly. Eli frowned. What is it? She hesitated, her hands trembling slightly. Since the cleansing, something inside me changed. He stepped closer. Changed how? She looked down, then placed his hand on her chest. Her heart was beating fast, but it wasn't just hers. A second faint rhythm echoed inside her. Eli froze. Lyra, is that? Yes, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. The spring gave me life again, and it gave life inside me. I carry the first child of both our kinds. Eli's breath caught. That's impossible. Nothing is impossible anymore, she said softly. You gave me purity and I gave you my soul. The spring joined us. This child, it's proof that our species can live as one. He couldn't speak. His mind spun between wonder and fear. If the Galactic Council found out, they'd never allow it. A hybrid child between human and Kalaran was forbidden by law. They'd call it contamination, not creation. He looked out the window again at the reborn world. They'll come for us, Lyra. They'll see this as a threat. She nodded. I know, but maybe that's why this child exists. to challenge what they fear. Eli turned back to her, his voice trembling. Then we'll protect it. Both of us, Lyra smiled through her tears. Together. Later that night, the new world slept under a sky full of clean stars. Eli sat by a glowing lake, watching his reflection ripple across the water. The wind was soft, carrying whispers of life returning to the soil. He felt different now, not just in body but in soul. The planet's pulse was inside him and he could feel it. Every leaf, every wave, every spark of life around him. Lyra joined him quietly, her hand resting on her belly. The child moves when you're near, she said softly. It's like it knows your heartbeat, Eli smiled faintly. Guess it already knows trouble. She laughed gently. But the peace didn't last. A faint hum filled the air, a deep mechanical sound. Eli stood instantly. That's not natural. From the clouds above, bright lights appeared, galactic council ships, sleek and silver, scanning beams stretching across the land. They were searching. Lyra's face turned pale. They found us. Eli's jaw tightened. Then we run. He grabbed her hand and led her through the tall, glowing grass toward the old ruins nearby. But the ships were fast. A beam of light struck the ground beside them, forming a shimmering energy wall. A mechanical voice echoed from above. Human subject Eli Warren. Alien survivor classified as restricted life form. Surrender immediately for cleansing protocol. Eli shouted up at the sky. You don't understand. The curse is gone. The planet's clean. There was no answer, only the sound of charging weapons. Lyra gasped, clutching her belly. Eli, he looked around desperately. Then something caught his eye, the black sphere from before, or what was left of it, floating near the ruins, faint and flickering like dying light. It spoke in his mind, its voice gentle this time. You cleansed me once. Now let me cleanse your sky. Eli hesitated only a second. Do it. The sphere pulsed and expanded, glowing blue. A wave of light shot into the clouds, silent but powerful. The council ships froze mid-air. Their engines dimmed. Their weapons powered down. Then one by one they began to fall, softly, as if the air itself caught them before they could crash. When the light faded, the sphere was gone forever. Lyra fell to her knees, breathing hard. It's gone. Eli knelt beside her, holding her hand. It gave everything. To protect us, she looked up at him, eyes shimmering. Then we have to protect what it left behind. He nodded. Our child. The next morning, the sky was calm again. The wrecked council ships lay harmlessly across the plains, their crews sleeping under strange peace. The air glowed faintly gold as the sun rose. Eli stood with Lyra at the edge of the ruins. The galaxy will come again, he said quietly. They won't stop. Lyra touched her stomach. Then we'll go where they can't find us. The child must be born free. Eli smiled faintly. Where? She looked toward the mountains where mist touched the clouds. There's a valley there, the heart of Kalara's rebirth. The old spirits call it the cradle of light, he nodded. Then that's where we go. They walked side by side, their footsteps glowing faintly on the soft new earth. Above them, the sky shone clean and blue, the same sky that had once been poisoned and red. And as they disappeared into the light of morning, a gentle wind whispered through the grass. From dust they came, but under the clean sky, life begins anew. The morning sun rose over the reborn planet Kalara, painting the sky in shades of gold and silver. The air shimmered like liquid glass, alive with warmth and hope. Eli Warren and Lyra walked through the green valleys that now stretched where endless deserts once lay. Birds sang above them and the rivers glowed faintly, flowing like silver ribbons through the hills. They had been walking for days, following the guidance of the planet itself. The whispers of the wind seemed to lead them somewhere, toward the cradle of light, a hidden valley that only the cleansed could find. Eli carried a small pack of supplies. Lyra walked beside him, her hand resting over her stomach where the new life grew stronger each day. How much farther? Eli asked softly. Lyra smiled faintly. The valley reveals itself only when it's ready. The child will show us the way. As they walked, the air began to hum gently as if a song were hidden in the wind. The ground under their feet glowed with pale blue lines that pulsed softly like veins of light. Lyra paused, closing her eyes. Do you hear it? Eli nodded. It's like the planet is breathing, she smiled. It's welcoming its children home. By afternoon, they reached a wide clearing surrounded by mountains that shone like crystal. A single waterfall fell from above, splitting into hundreds of glowing streams that flowed into a deep blue lake. Eli stopped, breathless. This is it. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. The cradle of light. The air here felt sacred, pure, almost holy. The grass sparkled under their feet. Tiny orbs of light floated above the water like glowing seeds. They built a small shelter near the lake. Eli gathered wood from the glowing trees, though the fire that burned from them gave off no smoke, only light. Lyra lay inside, resting. Her skin shimmered brighter than ever before. That night, Eli sat beside her, watching her sleep. The stars above formed strange patterns, circles and spirals that matched the carvings in the ancient ruins. It was as if the universe itself was watching. He touched her hand gently. "I don't know what's coming," he whispered, "but I'll protect both of you, no matter what it takes." Her eyes opened slowly. "You already have, Eli. You gave this world its second chance." He smiled sadly. "Then let's hope it forgives us." The birth when dawn came, the planet itself seemed to hold its breath. The sky turned soft gold and the air became still. Lyra's voice echoed in the valley, low, pained, but steady. Eli stayed by her side, holding her hand tightly. "It's okay. You're doing great," he whispered, though his own hands trembled. The ground beneath them glowed brighter with every cry. The light spread through the valley, rising into the air like fireflies made of stars, and then silence. Lyra gasped once, then smiled through her tears. "Eli, look." In her arms lay a small child, its skin soft and pale, with faint blue lines glowing gently beneath. The baby's eyes opened slowly, shimmering like silver and sky mixed together. Eli couldn't breathe. He had never seen anything so beautiful. "She's—" he began, his voice breaking. Lyra finished for him, her voice trembling. "Perfect." As the baby let out her first cry, the valley responded. The rivers shone brighter, the mountains glowed, and the entire sky lit up as if the stars themselves bowed in silence. The planet sang, a low, soft melody that wrapped around them like a blessing. The message from the sky later that day, as Lyra rested with the child, Eli stood by the lake. His reflection shimmered on the water, but it wasn't alone. Behind him, faint shapes appeared, humans, Kalarans, and others unknown. Spirits of the past smiling in silence. He heard a voice again, the same ancient one that had once spoken from the dust. "The curse is gone, but memory remains. You have given us what we could not give ourselves. Forgiveness." Eli bowed his head. "What happens now?" "Now the galaxy learns what it means to be clean." He felt the air shift. A beam of soft light rose from the cradle into the sky, breaking through the clouds and spreading across the stars. Every world touched by that light would feel it. A warmth, a peace, a whisper that spoke, "Remember, heal, begin again." Years later, time moved gently on Kalara. The planet bloomed into a world of balance, half wild, half peaceful, always glowing with quiet life. Eli and Lyra built a home near the lake. The child, named Seren, grew fast and strong. Her eyes held the light of both worlds. When she laughed, flowers opened. When she touched the water, it shimmered like silver fire. She was neither human nor Kalaran. She was something new, something beyond both. One evening, as the three of them sat by the water, Seren looked up at the clean sky. "Mama, Papa," she said softly, "the stars are calling." Lyra smiled. "One day you'll go to them," Eli nodded. "And when you do, remind them who we were and what we became." Seren tilted her head. "What are we?" Lyra looked at her lovingly. "We are the children of the clean sky." The girl giggled, then ran toward the light, her footsteps leaving glowing trails in the grass. Eli wrapped his arm around Lyra. The air around them was still, peaceful. Above, the stars shimmered with silent gratitude. From dust and guilt, they had built life. From sin and sorrow, they had found forgiveness. And under the clean sky of Kalara, where two broken species once destroyed each other, a new race, born from love, pain, and hope, took its first breath. The world whispered softly as night fell. "You washed her, human, and through her you washed the stars."